Rough Trade is giving away a third of the first 3 months of the Rough Trade Club plus new music membership exclusively to 101 Part-Time Jobs listeners. Become a member of Rough Trade Club New Music and you'll receive the Rough Trade Album of the Month straight to your door every month on an exclusive vinyl pressing with bonus material. Club members have received exclusive pressings of albums from Sufjan Stevens, Sprints, The Last Dinner Party, English Teacher, and Over Mono, just to name a few, this past year alone. Sign up using the promo code CLUB101POD and you'll get Rough Trade's Album of the Month, Camera Obscura's Look to the East, Look to the West for a third of the usual price. By signing up, you'll be getting Rough Trade's exclusive issue of the album on opaque purple in a gatefold sleeve, plus a bonus CD containing 5 demos. Don't want the album of the month but still want all the benefits? Sign up to the standard tier using Club 101 Pod and you'll still get the first month free. You'll also get free shipping on all orders, 10% off at the bar and on secondhand vinyl in store, and exclusive access to sold out Rough Trade events. So don't hang around. Head to roughtrade.com/club and sign up with the code CLUB101POD. That's CLUB101POD and claim money off Rough Trade's Album of the Month today. This offer is for UK residents only. Do you play in bands? I did for the longest time. And I wish that I knew that DistroKid was a thing. I don't even think it existed back then. DistroKid makes music distribution fun and easy with unlimited uploads, and artists keep 100% of your royalties and earnings. 1 million plus artists rely on DistroKid to get their music on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, TikTok, Tidal, Instagram, and all the major streaming services. When you get DistroKid, you can see a DistroKid bank and withdraw your earnings. You get notified when you've earned royalties and you can withdraw via the app. And you can even check your streaming stats on Spotify and Apple. Get 30% off your first year on DistroKid by going to distrokid.com/VIP/101pod. 30% off for your first year. That's not bad. We know it's a tough world out there. Why don't you make it easier for yourself? And to get 30% off that free year as an artist, where you get 100% of your royalties and earnings, go to distrokid.com/VIP/101pod. All right, stay with me. I'll be right back after this. All right, you're listening to 101 Part-Time Jobs. I'm Giles Bidder and I speak to bands and musicians about what goes into everything they do. We're on episode 354 here. Cheers for joining us. I'm speaking with Mike Kinsella today. Mike and American football have been a perpetual existence in so many of our lives, and the various bands he's been in, from Cap and Jazz to Joan of Arc to There, and Owen, they've all put out such unique, interesting records. And that new Owen record, The Falls of Sioux, it's out now, came out a couple of weeks ago. It's excellent. It's got some really wonderful moments on it. If you haven't gone and listened to it, I recommend you do. And if you're in the UK and in Europe, Owen's coming on tour. Starting next week, they'll be in Spain before coming to the UK, playing London on the 8th of June at Oslo, Leeds, Brudenell Social Club, before heading back and continuing tour across the States in July. So if you want to see Mike Kinsella, if you want to see Owen this summer, you can go see those dates at owenmusic.com. Cheers for listening to the show. If you like this episode, make sure you subscribe, whether you're listening on Spotify or Apple. And if you're able to leave a review, that helps us out massively. So cheers. Thanks to our sponsors, 2000 Trees, the best independent music festival in the UK. They've won a load of awards for being the best medium-sized festival here. And this year, the lineup is stacked. The Gaslight Anthem, The Chats, and Don Broco are headlining. Then it's Manchester Orchestra, Bob Vylan, Creeper, Hot Mulligan, Slutface, Empire State Bastard, The Mysterines, Angel Dust, Gouge Away. So many brilliant bands playing. Into It, Over It, and Press Club too. If you want to go to 2000 Trees this year, it's from the 10th to the 13th of July. You can get your tickets from 2000trees.co.uk, and if you use the voucher code 101pod at checkout, you can get 50 quid off your weekend ticket. All right, here's Mike Kinsella on 101 Part-Time Jobs. 101 Part-Time Jobs.
I consider just being in a lot of bands all part-time jobs, you know. It wasn't until into my 40s or later on that I kind of got like an actual job as a musician, you know.
Right. I mean, so before then, we were talking like early years, cap and jazz, American football, moving on to kind of like 10 years ago, around 10 years ago, there, and kind of collaborating. You didn't necessarily think of that as like work necessarily.
I didn't, but it was sort of like, it was how I contributed to paying the bills. In my 30s, sorry, I guess in my 20s, I would have been in Joan of Arc, like full-time, part-time, sort of whenever I could. I was starting to do Owen stuff. I was young 20s selling, you know, merch for friends and, you know, like still going on tour. Like I mean, I guess I imagine we're going to get into like jobs, you know, like office jobs.
Yeah. I mean, to me, there's kind of one and the same. I think because the office jobs affects the music and the music affects the office jobs because of time constraints. In my mind, a big part of me is like, it's all kind of one and the same. It's life shit.
Yeah. I mean, it's also, I'm saying like this band that I'm calling my job now, half the band have proper jobs. So we're constantly sort of working around their schedule and yeah, you know, it's a life shit. It indirectly or directly affects me even without the job. Yeah,
that's it. Was there a moment with Owen when you were like, okay, I'm gonna try and do this full time. I'm gonna make this my thing.
You know, I did that because it's such a cool, selfish outlet to have, to where I could just like do whatever I want whenever I want. I guess I was like always playing in bands and you know, no offense to, I'm just like Toledo, Ohio, but like, I just, you know, I'm like, man, I can't believe, you know, we needed this $150 gas money so bad that we have to spend the day in Toledo. And I was like crabby about it. So I was like, if I just do my own thing, I can literally play only the towns when I want to play and how I want to play. Yeah. So it's just kind of selfish and creatively, selfishly, get to make whatever music I want.
It's funny how that's like how you see that as like a selfish thing, because I wonder if that comes from like the background of like what we, you know, get in the van kind of stuff of like do things you don't really want to do. You know, it's the pain.
Yeah. And also I was up until that point, like every band I'd been in, I was my older brother's little brother in the band, you know? So I kind of didn't really have a say or equal say, I guess.
Yeah.
It was definitely like, you know, we would leave if we left for 2 months at a time, I'd come home and be able to pay the 2 months rent I was gone plus the next month's rent.
Yeah.
And then that was like how I lived through my 20s. And it was, you know, it's romantic. I love it. I'm like, I wish I could leave for that long again and just sort of like truly wander. But yeah, real life keeps coming back to a theme here, real life.
Yeah, and that's pretty cool, you know, to be able to go away and then pay rent for the time you're away and then have 1 month left over. I mean, that's success to most people.
That's why I kind of just kept doing that. Like, it was just sort of I just thought that was like a cool, normal pattern. It wasn't until I kind of had kids and then I realized I didn't really want to be away anymore that long, or, you know. But I just thought that was like, yeah, normal. And it was, I mean, for everybody I kind of was running around with at the time. So.
101 part-time jobs. 101 part-time jobs. From when I first heard Never Meant, it was like, oh, this is emo. And before that, I'd been listening to Promise Ring and Get Up Kids, and then kind of that was kind of maybe a few years before kind of emo like was literally kind of hitting the headlines in like Kerrang and NME, and all of a sudden it was like a I think it's fair to say like mainstream genre. How did that affect you? People kind of catching up and going back in time to that American football record?
I mean, it didn't really until the American football reunion, I guess. It was the first time we knew anybody cared about our band. Like the emo thing became a thing. Like, I don't think we ever, and still don't associate ourselves with like the haircut emo. Like we're still just kind of like, I don't know, in indie rock or whatever.
Yeah, indie rock band.
But so we didn't, like that was sort of that like blew up and happened. But at that point, I was already kind of doing other things. I was playing like Owen folk shit or whatever.
Yeah.
And we didn't, we weren't a band, so we didn't really pay attention to it. Then we did shows and realized there always people who had been like continuously listening to this band since we broke up 15 years ago or whatever. So it was a kind of a surprise, and maybe just as much of a surprise that we all got along and wanted to hang out more. So we just added more shows and we kept doing it. And then, that brings us to the current gig.
And you must have seen like Spotify numbers, because Spotify happened in like 2007. At some point you must have seen those numbers go up.
I just never paid attention. We got one guy in the band that sort of keeps track of that and gets a kick out of it. I don't know. Like I said, like I kind of just like music, just like it's like I'm just sort of like working on the next song or the next project or something.
Yeah.
I'm always surprised when a paycheck comes. I'm like, whoa, that's awesome.
I imagine it's always kind of living a few steps ahead of everyone else, because you put out a record, by the time it goes to press, it's months and months later. Other people are hearing it for the first time.
Totally.
And you've probably moved on to the second record since then.
I've this new Owen album came out, I don't know, weeks ago. But I've been sitting on it since I finished it in October, and I've started writing a whole nother album for another project. And then I got to turn it on. Like then I have to play these Owen songs I've never played them before. I'm like, I got to learn how to play these songs. I got to go on tour now and play these songs. So there's like a compartmentalization.
Yeah, as part of the role. Is that kind of something that this is? For you've probably been putting out records for the greater part of your life by now. Have you got more like of an artistic discipline, and you more organized in that sense?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I am like 1000%. I said it before, like I literally just took for granted, like I get to do this. Like I get to write songs and people, to varying degrees will buy them or pay attention to them and want to hear them. And then when we were writing the second American Football, it was the first time I was writing songs that I was like, whoa, people are gonna hear this. Like it's not just I put it out in the ether and close my eyes. And so it changed my writing habits. It changed my writing sort of focus. Like whereas before maybe I'd be like, okay, cool, like I have a line, I have a melody, that's the song. Now I'm like, what if I sing it what if I go high at this part, whatever, and then I'll write a whole different version and I'll be like, okay, now which one's cooler? Like, which one's more interesting? Like, and it's it's really like now it's like I don't know, I feel like I'm an actual songwriter instead of just a guy who happens to be on tour all the time. I
find that so fascinating that a lot of the most important records to me and my friends and other people who are interested in that kind of indie rock genre, like wider spectrum of records, who we kind of we work so we can go to the gig and so we can pay for the records and so we can travel to see bands and buy the t-shirts. It's that whole experience is such a dedication and there's so much thought towards it. Mm-hmm. And it seems like quite often songs are written in half a day, maybe to not much thought.
I mean, I always would put, I guess I'm getting more interested in like using the words and the vocals to like elevate a song instead of just like, oh, now I need to put words on top of. I was always kind of like, I'd try to come up with like interesting arrangements or layers for the music, but then I'm trying to like I think it could be more impactful to have,
Yeah.
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 Or I'm putting a little more effort, I guess. Hopefully, yeah.
Do you think like it took a while to start putting that type of effort into it? Because like, was there that thing like, oh, playing music, how could it ever be a serious thing? Were there that kind of thoughts going through your head?
Yes, it was. It just wasn't an ambition to be a serious thing. It was literally just like, I don't know. I mean, I went on my first like tour when I was like 15 or 14. Like, my brother was in the band and my parents bought us a van and we brought some other older band with us. So like there was some adults around and we like drove up, I went to a couple different states and was gone for like 5 days. I'm like, I just went on tour, I think. Like that was awesome. And we just played like kids' basements and VFWs and whatever. But yeah, it seemed so normal that I didn't really, it was just like a muscle memory for the like 10 years, all my 20s, I guess. I just kind of like, oh, I play music or whatever. And then again, kids, and then sort of played less and less, so appreciated it more and more, and still did it, but I didn't need there. I was like the stay-at-home mom for the 30s, so I didn't need to make any money doing it. So I just did it because it was that's my job, but I did it very part-time. Yeah. And then obviously though backborn, the kids are older and literally don't need me anymore. So.
How have you found that as a parent? I often feel bad for my mum because we were such good friends growing up, and then it was kind of like overnight it was like, see you later.
It's devastating as a parent. I guess I'm the same, I guess, but I didn't know I'd take it this hard. Kind of, it's sort of an adjustment of it's just sort of, I'm confused. I'm just like, well, what am I gonna do? Like I don't have to take care of them, and it's 5 p.m. I'm like, I guess I'll go drink at a bar. Like, I don't know what to do anymore. So yeah, anyways. Yeah.
Yeah. Would you write with them? Would you show them your songs? You must've been sitting around with a guitar.
Yeah, maybe that's why. Maybe I always was holding a guitar and they couldn't care less. I mean, they don't, just like this year, my son he's kind of like, whoa, like your band has this many plays on Spotify or something. I was like, oh, cool. He's kind of like on his own seeking out like what the heck's happening. He sent me we did a video and it was sort of like this like funny video where we all dressed up, like I dressed up like super goth, and it was obviously a costume and it was a joke. But he sent me a picture once, like he was hanging out with his buddies and I don't know if they were Googling me or something, and that picture came up and he's like, was this you for real? Like he was like embarrassed by it. I'm like, sorry dude, it was just for a video, it was a joke. Yeah.
What kind of music's him and his friends into?
He's just into whatever is in the background on TikTok. So I don't even know. Yeah. Music's not his thing. That's cool. And my daughter's into Taylor Swift, obviously, and whatever tree that is now. Gracie Abrams. Is it? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I tried listening to the new record. It's okay. It's sold a lot of copies. I mean,
oh really?
it's big because it's big.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
No, it's just like it's like a snowball. Yeah. I feel like there's some. I don't know. I think I've gone full circle. I love 1989, and I mean, I don't know
it's a great
if you
record.
care at all, but like loved it. Like just banged it for a year or 2 years. Like loved it, and then the next thing was Reputation. I'm like, oh, she's really trying to be a thing, and that's kind of annoying. And then she kind of slowly kept annoying me more and more as my daughter liked her more and more. So I'm also hearing it more and more. Yeah, I guess I think there's going to be some sort of like in the same way that like, there's always like kind of like a other shoe that drops. I think people are going to, I think the saturation point has been reached. I don't know what I'm talking about, but
no, I'm with you. I mean, honestly, this is what these conversations are for, kind of like speculating and having opinions, Have you ever had a backlash from stuff that you've done?
Oh yeah. I mean, I think there's definitely I see it peripherally, like, I mean, absolutely. I mean, I'm, some old dude. Every time we put a new record out, I think people are like, this fucking guy, keeps trying to sell me something. I'm like, I'm just trying to make music. Like, trust me, like I'm selling you shit way less than Taylor Swift. Yeah. I mean, people complain. People, I see, the joke is like at a bunch of the shows, like right up front, there's always some like really excited kind of dorky dudes. and they're super bored girlfriends are just like leaning on like the rail, just like stage, like so bummed to be there. So I consider that like a backlash of like, why do you drag me to see this lame music? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's yeah. I'm not like big enough to have like a backlash, like a actual, it's not. I don't warrant an actual backlash, but I know like when the new American Football, like the first LP2 came out, for sure, there's like people who were just like, the fuck are these guys doing? Yeah.
People are always going to have something to say. Are your friends and your family, are you the kind of people that debate records and debate this kind of stuff with each other? Like why an interesting record is good or why an artist is good?
It happens more in the van, like when the band gets together, because we're all living normal life, and then maybe a couple months go by, and then people hear new things, and so there's, and that's like when we're in the mode of music, I guess. At home, I don't listen to that much music at home.
You just fucking write, you just churn them out.
I mean, I'm trying to write, and I feel like it influences what I'm writing in a fine way. Like, I'm also like at this whatever tipping point of getting old enough, so everything references something. I'm like, oh, that sounds like whatever. That sounds like whatever, and I kind of like don't give anything enough attention, which is usually what I realize in the van when like there's some more like eager music fans. I mean, I would say everybody in the band is more of an eager music fan than I am. So they're always like, no, you should give it like a second listen. It's really good. And I'm like, fine, I'll listen to this twice,
Yeah, it's difficult. There's so much that comes out though. Like if you try and listen, I find it, I mean, it's my job to do this and listen to records, and I find it fucking hard. Yeah. I can't listen to everything.
Or at least, I mean, yeah, it's hard to keep getting excited, like kind of, or like, again, like everything's referential, and especially with the internet and the way, not just music, but information, everything spreads. So it's like, I feel like you already know what this thing is about. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, I'm already like, oh, that sounds like Fugazi, cool. And then I just like put it over there and don't go back to it. Because if I'll listen to Fugazi if I want to hear Fugazi, but whatever.
What does make you excited? When you're at home, when you're in your when you're in your happy place at home, chill, feeling like Mike, feeling good.
I like cooking.
Hell yeah.
Grocery shopping. Chopping vegetables. My girlfriend sort of runs the kitchen, and I'm just like sous chef. Yeah, that's sort of like my favorite night. Like last night, we were like, let's just stay in, and we just made some steak and vegetables, and it was so good. Yeah.
Yeah, awesome.
That's like way more of a distraction of like I know I gotta get some stuff done today, but oh man, I can make a soup, and I'll just like sit there and watch a soup like stew for a while. Yeah.
Hell yeah. I mentioned earlier, I'm 33. I just moved into this flat 5 years ago with my girlfriend, and I realized before then I'd never lived somewhere that I was actually comfortable.
Oh wow, yeah. I mean, don't tell your mom that; it'll break her heart.
I know, she would actually be really upset.
Oh, you mean as an adult?
As an adult, yeah. Since I moved out.
Yeah. Oh, it's great. I mean, it's I don't know. It's I went through a divorce about 5 years ago, right when you moved into your comfortable place. I was getting divorced and sleeping in a friend's basement, and then like moved into this kind of dumpy apartment, and it took about 5 years to make it like nice, and I don't mind waking up here. So yeah,
it takes effort, doesn't it? It does. Like life does take an effort. You got to try. I think that's one thing I've learned recently is you got to try if you want to have something good.
It's I mean, for everything that's awesome about my job, the whiplash of going and like hanging out with your buddies in a van for like a week and getting free drinks and having people tell you they like your music for a week, and then you come home and you're like, holy fuck, like now I got to do all this laundry, and the sink doesn't work, and like everything takes effort. Yeah. I got somewhere on my it says nothing is easy. It's a Lungfish song. Because I remember after my first kid, like, having a baby, I was just like, holy shit, everything is hard now. Like, and it hasn't really got easier, but
yeah. Have you been able to still prioritize music throughout all of that? When you're going through a tough day or when you're going through like a harder time, is music still on your mind, or does it feel like an extra thing that sometimes you're like, oh, it's a lot to think about?
Yeah. I mean, I think there's I think the latter, it's sort of like like when I'm in it, I kind of can barely get out of bed, as everybody has those, moments. So it's all, I mean, it's different too. It's not like, oh, I gotta be in the office by 9, so I have to get out of bed or something. It's like if I'm like, oh, I was gonna work on this verse a little bit today, but I'm not in the mood or not having a good day or something, there's a good chance, it gets kicked down the road. So yeah, like everybody.
And so did you ever get out of that stage of your 20s when you were like coming back from tour and it was like, okay, I could pay rent, I could pay rent for the when you were away. Did that ever change? Did that ever stop?
I mean, in what way? Like, did I ever have to like?
Well, I mean, if you were in your 20s and you were going on tour and coming back with whichever kind of bands you were in, like Joan of Arc or Cap and Jazz, American Football, and coming, did it ever come to like an impasse where you're like, oh, I'm not in a band at this time, or maybe those bands weren't touring?
I mean, for sure, yeah. There was always something coming up and then I got married and then we started like having kids and I mean, that's why I don't understand like how anybody wants to put all their eggs into one band. Like I truly love like the creative aspect and the scheduling and whatever of like, like we are talking about like, okay, the Owen finishes the album, Owen's going to play a couple shows, but now I'm like, I'm in a tour mode for Owen. I'm in a writing mode for American Football. I'm in like a developmentally writing mode for Lies. Like I've got all these things. I'm learning Cap and Jazz songs for upcoming shows. Like, I mean, I love like, I would just be it would feel like such a burden if I only had one thing to like get excited about. So
yeah. Is that the way your brain kind of works?
I guess.
you like lots of things. You like having lots of things going on. I
guess, yeah. Like stimulus, sure. I've got like an addictive personality, so I think I'm looking for some sort of serotonin or yeah. I mean, I can just I got like this big visual wall calendar, and each band and all the travel is color coordinated. And so I'm looking at the whole year. I'm like, wow, that's exciting. Like all these, I get to go see friends in different countries and do fun shit. So I guess it hadn't really. I was thinking like of the jobs I would like talk about, and like the last sort of like regular real job I had was right out of college. I worked at a daycare for probably almost a year, I guess. And I loved it. It was like 3 to 5 year olds, but I had, every day I had to go wrestle and play basketball and have nap time with 3 to 5 year olds. And it was great. And then whatever tour we went on, I think then I left I quit because it was Joan of Arc was going to do like a 3-month USA Europe. I hadn't been to Europe yet. So I was like, okay, I quit. Sorry. I really like this job. But even though I'll be home in 3 months, they're like, you're going to lose a job. Or I don't know. I was totally worth it. And I guess that was the moment where I was like, okay, I can just keep doing this. Like, yeah.
And it never stressed you out too much. I think everyone's quite different with that, like everyone's got their own journey of like how stressful work is.
Yeah, well, I mean, the stressful part would be not really having money, but I found I never really been attracted or good at making money. So I just sort of, I have a way back, you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, well, why do I need money? I can go on tour and get free beer, So that's all I would spend my money on at home anyway. So, yeah, I wasn't, yeah, I mean, it didn't even like, I guess like after American Football, at the same time I was doing that, the other guitar player, one of them stayed in school and got like his doctorate and is now a professor. And the other one like went and just like started doing like, office work. And now he's making a bunch of money. He's doing great. He's got a way bigger house and way cooler cars, I guess. I don't know. What do you do with your money? But
yeah, I guess that's the point. I guess that's the thing I'm interested in is like, at what point do you write down like what you value most? Do you value most that feeling? Do you value most having a bigger house? And it's more of a kind of complicated thing than I think we were taught.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, well, that's what I don't think you're taught that you're not allowed to not care about the money. You know what I mean? You're taught to get good grades to go to college, then you get the good job, make the most money. And then, I mean, obviously just whatever the current culture I'm seeing it with my kids and they just want everything. You know what I mean? Like you just think you need everything. You need the newest shoes. You need the newest everything. You need the newest. You need this rare vinyl of Taylor Swift. You need like everything. You need to consume everything. And I don't know. And it's I feel lucky that my older brother, I guess, found this DIY punk scene, and then I thought that was cool via him.
Yeah.
And it influenced sort of, the trajectory of my whole life. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I remember like it wasn't, in seventh or eighth grade, like I got along with all my friends. I still liked all my friends, but I'm like, I don't know. I'm feeling a little different. I'm feeling like I want to listen to The Cure, like instead of, whatever was on the radio or whatever. So
has Tim always been your kind of guiding star? Intentionally or not?
Yeah.
I get the older brother thing. I've got an older brother. It's I love him, and at times I've hated him. It's siblings. I get it.
Yeah.
But you've worked with your brother, this whole time.
Yeah. We're doing these Cap and Jazz things. So we've recently like been in a room playing these songs that we were writing when I was 14. You know what I mean? It's like a weird inceptual journey. Yeah, he was always just cool. Like he was always like, he always kind of like, he was just like punk. He knew it was cool before I did, for sure. You know what I mean? And then maybe I kind of realized I didn't need to put any effort into trying to know what's cool anymore, as a grown up. But definitely grown up, yeah, he would find shit first, and I would listen through the door and be like, oh, that's cool. Like, what is that? And then when he left, I would sneak in his room and be like, oh my God, Nitzer Ebb, that's cool.
And would he, in terms of like the business or the day-to-day like runnings of the band, he would know what's going on? He would be pretty clued up?
Oh yeah, he was those early tours, he was sort of like, it was before phones and internet. So he would find out like the connection of the guy whose basement we're going to play in, Nebraska or whatever. And he'd be in touch with that guy, and he would get directions, and he'd have the notebook with the directions. He made it all happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was, along for the ride and felt very lucky to be there. But
did you ever have that point where you're like, you're living with your brother, your brother's decided, did you ever have that moment when you're like, fuck, I want to do some things for myself? I want to find out for myself.
That's sort of like the Owen kind of stuff, like it was sort of like, oh, I'm going to write. I can just, at that point, I guess that would be like, Joan of Arc was always kind of his baby. And, band practice is often sort of like, he'd have a part or an idea, and then I'd play along to it. And then he'd be like, now play the opposite of what you're playing. So it was always like fight my instincts musically.
Okay.
Which makes interesting music. And I like it conceptually, but I was also kind of like, I just kind of want to be satisfied musically. So yeah, Owen was sort of like the exhale, and they were happening at the same time. Like that tour that I quit the band for, or the job, that long tour, I feel it was the first time like I played Owen shows proper. Like it was kind of like, why don't you have a handful of songs? Why don't you open up like a lot of these shows?
Right.
And play 5 songs or something, like acoustic, really easy. And then I remember it was a thing where I was like, okay, cool, whatever. And then, so, okay, we'll give you $4 to do it or something. And then eventually I was the only guy making money on the tour because I was getting the $40 plus everybody else is just like getting their per diem, and that was kind of it. So I was like, every day I had $40. So I'm buying everybody beer and stuff. Anyways, it was kind of like this. Yeah. Obviously, looking back, like nobody was making any money, but I was the only one who actually had money in my pocket.
Well, hey, if you're traveling and you're not necessarily having to pay rent or food all the time, 40 quid a day, $40 a day isn't bad. And especially when you're coming from indie rock, you're kind of taught to be frugal. That's how you survive.
The whole at the time, like, yeah, like touring was just like, you would get Subway, and you would get, whatever the $3 sandwich was that day, you'd eat that. And then maybe you'd save half, and it'd be lunch and dinner. And then, in Europe, when you get to the venue, though, like, big spreads, they really take care of you. So
yeah
totally different.
Have you taken that kind of thinking through with you, like up until today? Do you still think like that?
In what way?
Like,
I hate Subway. Just kidding.
Not eating Subway, not knowing you don't need loads of money to live a good life.
Oh yeah, absolutely. uh, yeah, I'm laughing because I don't have loads of money at all. Yeah, like aforementioned divorce. Recently, my son was like, he's like, it seems like you just sort of spend you buy all the fun stuff, and mommy buys all the stuff we need. And I'm kind of like, that's not true. We both are paying for what you need. I'm just willing to, spend $1,000 to go to get good seats to go to a basketball game. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, let's just have fun, So, yeah. I mean, touring, yeah, it's just like, it's kind of ingrained in me. Like, I'm totally cool on tour, like just eating lunch meat for dinner. And, that being said, if my girlfriend comes with, she always wants to find the cool restaurant in town. So I follow her. And yeah.
Nice. Does your partner play guitar? Your girlfriend play guitar, or does your son play guitar?
Neither do. My daughter does a little bit. Sort of like picks it up and then puts it down for a while and picks it up, puts it down. My girlfriend sings. She's on the new Owen record a couple times.
Awesome.
And she's singing, I think, 2 songs on this next, like all these American football shows coming up, like live with us.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Hey, I got a very, very serious question. Have you ever played a power chord?
Oh, yeah. I learned to play guitar. I mean, I learned to play guitar by learning Kill 'Em All. So
fuck yeah.
All the power chords. That's my one on my deathbed. Like, I wish I had put any time into being in some sort of metal band. Like, I truly, it was like a very formative genre for me. But
hell yeah,
I don't know why I keep tuning these stupid tunings.
Do you feel like you ever, because you do that, and that's what people expect? I mean, this new Owen record, I'm like, oh, it's not as crazy tuning as I maybe come to expect from you. I feel like you taking like standard tuning, going a bit Wilco, that's radical for you.
Yeah. It's I'm getting like lazy in my old age. Maybe I'm just like, I'm finding these comfortable chords and I'm just sort of strumming them. Yeah.
You got to get 5 different guitars. Do you do different guitars when you're playing live? Have you got all the different tunings?
I don't know. It's I worked at it like as the Owen shows. American football, we each have, I think we're bringing 3 guitars each, and we have a guitar tech. So every song we're getting a new guitar, both of us usually in different tunings. It's madness. Like, we're rehearsing this weekend. Everybody's flying in, and that's like a big part of the rehearsing is just like, how do you plan these tunings? The Owen shows, I just sort of, I built in, the tuning time is just sort of like chat time. And I think I mean, I like it. Again, selfishly.
Storytelling time.
Yeah, or talk like engaging. I say like if nobody at the shows interact, then I forget the shows happen. Like, I'm like, oh, I think I played in Brighton. I don't remember like who was there or talking about anything. But if like I just played a show in DC and they brought like their 10-year-old son to see me, and it was like a funny interaction about me swearing and being degenerate on stage in front, but whatever. So I'm like, oh, I remember Pittsburgh. Like, I remember that happening.
Yeah. Hey, there must be some American football babies out there. Well, Cap and Jazz, but every band you've been in, babies, relationships that have been formed listening to those records.
Oh, I thought you meant like I've made a bunch of babies. No, we're a wholesome band.
No, I mean like families who have grown up with your music. This
happened on this last little Owen run. My girlfriend mentioned, she's like, is it weird? Like, this is the second time this week somebody said like, like they have sex to my music or something. And she's like, why do they tell you that? Is that weird? I'm like, I don't really listen to them when they say that. Like, I shut my earmuffs.
That's fine. Hey, it's intimate, personal time.
It is also weird. It is weird because, I like Depeche Mode or Danzig or something a little more aggressive, and these people are putting out my quiet stuff.
When you're relearning these songs from when you were 14, you always look into what you're doing now and what you're doing in the future, and you don't want to spend too much time kind of living in the past. A lot of people, don't want to be sort of trapped by how other people have spoken about them or reviews or this and that. How do you deal with that? Having so many years of songs that you're so well known for, what's your kind of attitude and your perception of being like, cool, I've done that, but you know what? I'm a writer and I write every day or I write every week and I continue going.
Yeah, I mean that's. I guess I don't really think of myself as like as my oeuvre. Is that the word? Like I'm not like, oh, I'm this guy that has this whole vast whatever. I'm just kind of like, oh, I got these songs I'm excited about. Like, yeah, I mean, like, I don't think I'd be very good at just sort of like resting on being the guy who wrote Never Met, Like, I think that I think I'd quit the band. We're not just gonna play like, like state fairs or something and just play our hits, It's the fun part is the writing and the creating, and it's fun to play the shows and people are, excited to hear them. Like it's like places we haven't been yet or people haven't seen us. It's the first time here, Never Met. That's great. It is. I feed off the energy, but like that's not like why I got out of bed that day. Does that make sense? Like,
got you. And those songs are like who you are. I imagine that's part of your personality. It's part of your experience of life.
They are, but I mean, less and less is that song who I am. You know what I mean? The further away I get from everything that I've done in the past, less and less I can relate. I dusted off some old Owen songs, and they're just about like, gallivanting and whatever. I'm like, wow, I'm not even that guy anymore. Wow, like you know what I mean? Like I'm like, it changes. The way the more I change, the further away I get from where I was, or whatever. Yeah.
Well, it's great. New Owen record is really cool. I was enjoying riding my bike around to it today, and it's got a good feeling. And there's something.
Did you have sex to it yet?
I haven't had sex to it yet. No.
You should try. People say it's a great album to have sex to.
But it's awesome. Really good to chat. It's cool. I think now's a really interesting time for like independent musicians to keep to just putting out records all the time, because it's not, there's ways, obviously, like SoundCloud and Spotify, whatever, like the ways that we listen to it all across the world, we'll always be able to get, so there's always just this constant stream, and that's such a powerful, cool thing. And it's a way for us all, without sounding sort of cliche or too earnest or something, it's like, it's connection. And I think that's the main key of music.
Totally. I mean, I'm so jealous. Like, I mean, I used to make demos on like a little Fostex, 4-track tape thing. And that's it. I made them, and then, nobody could hear them. But now it's like, you can put your shit out there. Yeah. You don't have to like be famous to like put records out. Yeah. It's awesome.
Yeah. And that comes, with the kind of the money thing, and it's a blunt conversation, but it's like, you don't have to try and be famous. You don't have to try and be rich. It's good enough to just do it.
Right. Make the music. Yeah, totally.
Hey, I got one last question, Mike, if you're up for entertaining me. Is that I think as musicians, people are often working jobs and then quitting them or leaving abruptly. And I think what comes with that kind of lifestyle is fucking up in the workplace and, turning up late or saying the wrong thing or getting in trouble or getting fired. Have you experienced any work gaffes, work fuck ups, work mistakes that are memorable?
I don't, this is the part, like, I haven't had that many workplace experience. Like, I've fucked up on stage a million times. I've fucked up, I've said the wrong things into microphones in rooms full of people a million times. I'm trying to think. I had an interview, like, it was like for just to get a job some summer in college, coming home, get a job for a little bit at the Gap. It's like a clothing store. And I remember all my friends made fun of me because I'm like, I didn't really get that job or whatever. And they're like, I guess the guy like said something about what do I want to do at the job. And I'm like, oh, I'd rather just work in back. I don't really like people. Like, I don't want to talk to people. And they said that was not a great interview answer. So I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. Great stuff.
That's about.
What do you do when you fuck up on stage? Have you like, how do you, is it a jazz thing? It's like, there's no wrong note. There's always the next note.
I mean, I'm not even talking, I'm playing. I just will hit all the wrong notes, whatever. I mean, yeah, there's varying degrees of drink involved. I'm trying to think if there's anything like, I mean, it's all done within this context again of I exist in this like not famous DIY punk world. So like, it's all part of the experience. I think that's why I go to a show, to like experience the thing happening. So
Big time. Yeah.
I've played guitars out of tune or in the wrong tuning, halfway through the song, I don't know it's because I haven't hit that E yet, and then I hit it and it's in the wrong tune. Like, God damn it! So I stop and tune.
Yeah.
That's
Have you got more confident over the years?
Oh yeah. I just I had this like realization totally after having kids. Like, went to a Cubs game with a friend who's older, and like this dad confidence thing. It's like it has nothing to do with. I think that's like the crux of it. Is like you kind of have to, when you have these like things that you're taking care of, you have to like step up and just be confident and get shit done and take care of it. And so I assumed the dad confidence role when I had kids, I guess. Yeah.
The dad confidence. I like it. You automatically get a pair of 501 Levi's.
You do. You get cool jeans, and and you kind of, you're like, hey, your kid pushed my kid. You get this confidence where like you speak up and shit, and then you got it. Yeah.
Cheers for listening. That was Mike Kinsella here on 101 Part-Time Jobs. If you enjoyed that episode, if you enjoyed the chat, make sure you click subscribe. We put out 2 episodes every week, always with brilliant artists and bands. It'd be great to have you around. Cheers for listening, and if you're in London next Monday, I'll be doing a live episode with Alfie Templeman at Strong Room in Shoreditch. There's a few tickets left through Dice. Cheers to our sponsor DistroKid for making it so easy for bands and artists to put out their own records. You can get 30% off your first year by signing up to distrokid.com/VIP/101pod. So if you know someone who plays music and they're not quite sure how to put out their records to get it on Instagram and TikTok, as well as the usual places like Spotify and Apple, head to distrokid.com/VIP/101pod.
101 Part-Time Jobs is hosted by Giles Bidder and produced by me, Olivia Swash. This has been a Mighty Moon Media production.
101 part-time jobs, part-time jobs, part-time jobs, 101 part-time jobs, 101 part-time jobs, part-time jobs, part-time jobs, 101 part-time jobs, 100 part-time jobs, 101 part-time jobs, 101 part-time jobs, 101 part-time jobs.
Everyone is talking about magnesium. It's all you hear about. But why? What do we know about magnesium? Well, magnesium is the #1 mineral that 75% of Americans are deficient in. If you are a woman over 35, magnesium will help you rediscover balance, energy, and vitality. Magnesium supports more than 300 enzymatic reactions in your body, including those involved in hormonal balance. From functional medicine doctors to mental well-being and female hormone experts, we all know that magnesium is the one mineral to improve all aspects of well-being and health. But which one? Magnesium Breakthrough from Bioptimizers, the trusted choice recommended by leading experts with 7 best-absorbed forms of magnesium to ensure your body receives the support it needs for overall well-being. Go to bioptimizers.com/balance today and use code BALANCE10 for 10% off. Support your journey to wellness at bioptimizers.com/balance. Magnesium Breakthrough from Bioptimizers, your foundation to optimal health and vitality.